Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today we are going to be recreating this image up here. It's actually an AI generated image from a program that I use called Adobe Express, and I use that to make like all of my graphics and all of my intro and outro pages, and I thought it was pretty interesting that they had an AI image generator, so I decided to try it out, and this was one of the first images that popped up, so I thought it would be really fun to try to recreate it in The Sims 4. And this is the first house we're starting with. I kind of really leaned into that yellow and red kind of color scheme, so for this middle house here we do pick out the door from Growing Together, the craftsman style, and then the windows are actually from Strangerville, because they have that really nice like yellowy tone. And then for these corbels here, instead of the base game ones, I did choose these matching yellow ones from Growing Together, and I did use Tool Mod to size them down ever so slightly, and then it rose them up so that they would actually look like they were supporting the roof piece. This is just the first thing that I started with. I said, let me just get the front to look as close to the image as I possibly can, and then from there we will figure out what the heck we're doing. I didn't even know how big these were going to be. I didn't know if I would have to move the lot, but luckily we were able to keep it on this lot. I think I moved it ever so slightly on the lot, but I didn't change where it was. So it came out very, very cute. I hope you guys really like it. Now for this side right here that I'm making, I did change how the exterior color would be. Originally it matches that same reddish siding that's on the middle house, but I changed it to the wooden siding that we got with Growing Together, like the thin slats instead, because I think that just looks a little bit nicer, and it kind of goes with a colorful theme, which is why the name of these homes ends up being Colorful Townhomes, just because I couldn't think about what else to name them, and I'm super original. But this is just the roofing here. I only show a little bit of it because it did take me a while to get it just to match the AI image, and here I am picking out the exterior. We have some gray like stucco or stone siding going down, and then you'll see I picked this red siding. I know that in the image it's more like a rosy red rather than a bright red, but this one was just the closest I could find that was available in the game without CC. I don't really love to load up my game with CC, and then I just picked this standard black shingles for the roof, and out here I'm just adding some platforms to make like the steps, because it didn't really have steps in the image, but the image is gone now, so we are just going to work with what we got. And over here I'm just adding stairs and that field stone flooring that I love to use for front and back entryways, and then the columns are from Get Together. They're just the very nice plain square columns because they just fit everywhere. And then over here I was working on what the fencing was going to be for like the side yard. This gray building here ends up being like a studio apartment, so I did want to give them a little bit of a yard, so they had space for activities, because you do have to give your tenants some kind of activities or they will be very unhappy in their living situation. They have to have something to do other than just a place to live. They won't bring their own stuff, which is kind of an oversight in my opinion. I feel like that if you're bringing tenants to this building, like they should bring their own laptop or their own interests that they enjoy, like maybe they have their own easel or something, but they don't. You have to completely cater to them. So I tried to give everybody enough activities in their yards and in their homes where they would be entertained. So back here I'm assuming this person is going to be really into gardening, so that's what this backyard ends up being, kind of like a garden oasis. There ends up being like planter boxes. I do end up adding a flower arranging table, and I think a bee box and a bug box, but back here we're just trying to figure out what the fencing situation is going to be. I picked this one from I think it's either from Perfect Patio or Backyard Stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but I really like that fencing and the matching gate because they just look really simple and they just go with any kind of build you're trying to do. Here's where I'm finally figuring out what the final siding is going to be on this last home, and just getting everything all ironed out so that it matches as close to the image as I could, but obviously I wanted to, use my interpretation of it and go with the back because there was no back image. I didn't try to figure out how the back was going to look. And then I used that door up there in the upper balcony from the For Rent pack because it was like a pale yellow, and I really liked how it went with the Strangerville windows. Now here we're going to start the interior of the studio. This one was a little interesting to figure out because I did have to do like two platforms to come down into the entryway. And then after that, I couldn't figure out where the bathroom was going to go. So at first I thought maybe this little nook could be for like a fridge. And then after I put the fridge down, I added a nice like microwave on top of that so that they would at least have something to use to cook with. It's just a little tiny kitchenette. It's nothing crazy, because I assume this is either for like a student or someone who just orders out a lot. Maybe they work at a restaurant, so they eat at the restaurant. They don't have to cook at home. I don't know. Whatever gameplay you want to use for them. But they are just our tenant, just trying to make it as livable as possible. And then I used this Murphy bed from the Tiny Living stuff pack because I thought that would be nice. I did have my sim, who is the, I guess, quote unquote landlady of this unit. She upgraded that bed so that hopefully the sim won't perish because of an accidental Murphy bed squishing. But also is funny because when I started playtesting, a ghost actually moved into this unit, so we don't have to worry about that, which is kind of nice. So I didn't plan on it, but that's how it went. I didn't know they were a ghost until they moved in. But here's where I moved this kitchen around so they could have a teeny tiny little 2-tile bathroom, and it does function. I did play test it. So I just sized down the sink one little click, and then I use the toilet from Tiny Living because it is like the tiniest toilet that we have, honestly, and it works out really well. And then the university shower behind it and just a little mirror, and that is it. So they can use the toilet, wash their hands, and have a shower, just all in one little tiny square. And it does work. It does work. I checked. I made sure everything worked in this apartment. You can get to the microwave and the fridge. You can get in the bed. You can get out of the bed. You can put the bed up. You can still use the couch to sit and watch the TV. And I think it came out very functional, and I was surprised. So here I am just matching the wallpaper with the stools and also that shelf that is on the Murphy bed because I just really like that color. It's like a salmon color. I don't know. It's not one that I would usually pick, but for this home, I thought it worked out really well. My favorite flooring from cats and dogs, obviously. And then figuring out these platforms, the trim on these, I just picked that plain one. It looks kind of like plaster. And the light is also from Tiny Living because it matches all the rest of the colors in here. And then we had to figure out what was going on with this kitchen. I wanted to make sure they had enough countertop space, but also like a dining area. So they just have one single countertop, and then the other 2 are island pieces, which the chairs do fit into. You can sit at both of them, no problem. And I figure if they have a laptop at one, then they have a computer space. And then over here, instead of traditional overhead cabinets in the kitchen, I placed these little cubes from the Dream Home Decorator pack, and I fill those with a bunch of different clutter. I think there's like some plates and such in there, but you'll see that later. And then I did use some base game curtains on the windows, and this rug from the Book Nook kit I just placed right here where the bed goes. And I think that this little space came out really, really nice. They also have a little tiny dresser, also from Tiny Living, because it matches the wood tone really nice. So it kind of serves as like an end table and a dresser. I put the lamp on top from the For Rent pack, this lovely hanging shelf from the Eco Lifestyle pack, and then I added a tiny little base game double shelf here to clutter up with some stuff. I think I end up putting like a little tiny clock. There's a space heater also. You do have to move that out of the wall if your sim wants to use it, but for now I squished it in right under the shelf. There's some plants on this shelf, that is correct, and a little alarm clock, and also a video game console, which my sim was able to play, no problem. And then I just cluttered it up with like a coffee mug and a little diary or something, a little journal. And then I put some shoes over by the door. I do end up moving the door over a little so that they don't get in the way. But yeah, just some board games up here that I used the 9 key to raise up ever so slightly, and then tool mod to get it all lined up better. And they have a little tiny stack of books on this bookshelf as well. I don't know, that's the only thing I didn't check. I don't think you can get a book out of that because it was placed with alt placement and with tool mod. But if you can, great. Otherwise, I would just say, you can still move it to another shelf or to the island and then buy some books and just keep the books in their inventory too. That would work out just fine. But here are those little cubes all cluttered up. They have like a little box of arts and crafts stuff, some seasoning, a little pot, some plates, little wine rack, and a plant, a little dog succulent, because I just love that so much. They also have a little hanging plant there from Paranormal Stuff, and just a painting up on the wall just of an apple and a pear, because why the heck not? I just needed something else to put on the wall. I was looking a little naked. And then there is also a speaker on the hanging wall shelf. So they have plenty of music, plenty of activities, plenty of stuff to do, and the whole place is very functional. And I think that it came out really cute. That's pretty much it for this, except the bathroom and also the rest of the kitchen situation. Now, for the bathroom, I just used this blue subway tile. I just really liked the way it looked. It was kind of bright. And then this concrete floor for the flooring in the bathroom. That light that I put by the door is from Growing Together, I believe. And then a little cats and dogs floor mat in front of the door, which I end up changing my mind on and using the base game one instead. Also the tiny living kitchen shelf there. And you'll see I put those slats in between where the fridge and microwave are, just to separate the room a little bit more, and also a kettle. Made sure that you had a kettle so you can make some coffee or tea. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this one. I think except for a little bit more wall decoration. Yes, we do pick out these paintings from Dream Home Decorator as well. I just made a little like collage of different paintings so that there was a little something more to look at. And then I did change that wall, I think, to just the brick or the stone, because I liked the way that that looked. Then we are moving quickly into the second unit. This ends up being more of a family unit. So I started with the kitchen, wanted to make sure they had enough space in there. And then over here, I did have to make a platform. You'll notice it is two clicks tall, and I did realize before playtesting that it was a little too tall and there was no step down. So I did change that, and I just rose the rest of the room up one click so that it matches. So don't worry, you'll notice that, and it bothered me when I was looking at the footage, but I do fix it, so don't worry. I fixed it off camera because I realized a little bit too late when I was taking the screenshots. But here we have our kitchen coming together. I used the Dream Home Decorator countertops in the yellow and white swatch, and then the stove is from Home Chef Hustle, and the fridge is just base game. Sink is also from Home Chef Hustle. And then I used the matching upper head cabinets in that yellow tone. It's a very bright and like airy kitchen, and I don't think there's a dining room table. There's not. There's just a nice little island space for everyone to sit and eat. And honestly, that's fine. They're a family on the go. They're involved in, their kid has sports and they have things that they're doing constantly. They don't usually have time to sit down at a big table, have a big family meal. So that is fine. It totally functions for them. And yes, I did put families in this world just to fit, this home, because I wanted to make sure that I was able to play test it fully. And then that doorway is from Strangerville, I believe, because it matches the windows, and I had to lean into more of the yellow. So here in the living room, I used the couch, the easy chair, and also the console table, but I do eventually change that console table. I think not till like the very, very end of this video though. And then I added a whole bunch of plants, that cute yellow vase one from the For Rent pack, and I love this little collection of plants, but I had to use Tool Mod to move it to the correct position because of the platform. It wanted to jump up way too high. So got that in the right position. And then I think the only other thing I add in here is a nice umbrella stand. And then over here we have a desk. I picked out this one from Tiny Living, I believe. I liked the colors a little bit more than the other single tile desks. And just a laptop. The chair, I think, is the one from high school years, also in yellow, because again, leaning into the yellow. One plant over here in the corner, and then or maybe two plants. Okay, fine, two plants. I added two. Who knew? This was a couple days ago. I had work this weekend and I could not do anything. By the time I got home and had dinner, put the kids to bed, I was just depleted. I was done. I said, I can't do a voiceover right now. I was so tired. I just knew that I wouldn't be focused and it would just come out badly and I have to do it again. So saved it until Monday, when I had some time to recuperate from 2 days of work, because it seems like it's not that bad, but was exhausting. And then over here in the entryway, you'll see I added a tiny little bookshelf to the wall there so that they would have a space to get books. And the wallpaper is this lovely light green. I think that's the above deck wallpaper that I love using. I decided to use the flowering wreath. And then we have some pens and pencils and stuff on the desk. Needed to have that there. And a little end table over here in the living room, and then just this lovely little table lamp from Book Nook Kit. I don't know why that little round globe is just very amusing to me. I would love to have a light like that. It's very eclectic. And then just picking the entryway light here, and I think I went with this this standard one, as I call it. It's very modern. It's from the Growing Together pack, and also a little floor lamp over here, but there still wasn't quite enough light in this room for me. So I think I also added some wall lights eventually. It was just a little too dark. Also, a nice little basket of blankets and pillows to put next to the TV area, and then adding more of these wall sconces. And then we are back into the kitchen. I did add that lovely large like wall pantry thing over here, and then to make it all fit together nicely, I just added a single like thin cabinet just above it. And we have the range hood, which is base game. I really like that one. It's definitely not one I use all the time, but in this build I thought it looked really nice. And a dishwasher, because they're a family, so they need a dishwasher in my opinion. And we have a little Instant Pot and the kettle, again, also for coffee. That is like probably one of my favorite small appliances now, because the Sims can use it so much easier than they can just use like the coffee pot or the tea set. You can do everything with it all at once. You just boil it, and then one Sim can come up and get a cup of tea, another Sim can come up and get a cup of coffee, because it's just hot water. It's just very convenient. I very much enjoy that. I think that was a very nice addition to our game, because it's so versatile. And then adding just a lovely hanging light above the island, and that's it for the kitchen. And we're on our way upstairs here, figuring out the floor plan. So that smallest little room is going to be the bathroom, and then the room closest to us now is going to be the kids' room, and the room with the back balcony is going to be for the parents. I'm just placing my doors and figuring out where everything is going to be laid out. I think I just throw down some placement furniture for now, because this was build session number 1 coming to a close, and I just wanted to make sure that I had everything all set up so that I would remember when I came back what my plan was. Be surprised how often I come back and I have no idea what my original plan was for the build, and then I have to waste more time trying to remember what I was doing. But we have this kids room. I think I decorated most of this room because I got a little ahead of myself, but we have a lovely sitting area there with a big stuffy, and I don't know why, but that cat stuffy is just so cute. Add in this bed from, I think that's from Eco Lifestyle. I'm pretty sure. I really like that bed. If it's not from Eco Lifestyle, it might be from Dream Home Decorator. And then that end table with the stickers on it is from High School Years, but I thought it just screamed like kids' room to me. So, and then I had to add a toy box and a bookshelf. Put them right over here by the toddler bed. So this is definitely a shared room. It has a toddler bed and a child's bed, and I don't really think that they mind too much. I was trying to go for a very kid-friendly theme, so I think I end up keeping this wallpaper with the dinosaurs on it. I may change it, so don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure this is the theme that we went with. And then I use a little poof from the Tiny Living stuff, and I put it right over here in the corner instead of a traditional end table. This lovely nightlight from Growing Together, and I just use alt placement to put it where I need it to be. And then after that, I knew I had to add a nightlight so that nobody had any monsters under the bed, because that is the most annoying feature of parenthood, in my opinion, them having to wake their parents up in the middle of the night because there's a monster under their bed. So it reflects realism. It certainly does. And then just figuring out the window placement right here. We have the windows in the parents' room and the bathroom. Now you'll see this is the kitchen, and I've pretty much finished cluttering it. I just kind of put stuff up on these shelves, like a little set of paper plates, napkins, and utensils, and a candle, a bunch of coffee mugs, and that's pretty much it for the clutter in here. I didn't want to overdo it because honestly, I'm probably not going to play this particular family that lives here. I just wanted it to look nice because my landlady Sim is who actually owns this. And I did add a few more of those saucer lights and just dimmed the overhead island light because I wanted the lighting to be a little bit more pleasant, and I don't use any reshades. But we are in the backyard now, and I'm adding a trash can and a recycling can, and then quickly fast forwarding to the landscaping. I just picked out a bunch of debug plants here. I use these plants all the time, so you will have seen them before, but I just wanted the backyard to look kind of manicured, but also like they kind of just kept the plants that came with the home, and they're just trying to keep them under control, but they're not really focused on their plants. This backyard area is more for like grilling and for a spot for the kids to hang out outside. So for every house I do add a grill, just so everybody knows. But the backyard spaces are technically like shared spaces. I didn't qualify them as belonging to each townhome. So if you don't lock the gate, they will just kind of share each other's backyards. Which I guess isn't that big of a deal, but if you didn't want to play that way, you would have to go into every single household and lock the gate for everyone except household, something like that. So keep that in mind. That one was a little bit rough, but I think that it makes sense because maybe they all get along. They're all neighbors, so they don't mind, popping into each other's backyards to share the garden and the play space. But over here is the garden space, speaking of which we have all of our garden boxes are in, and the flower arranging table, the bug box, the bee box. I think that space came out really cute, but then we're quickly back into the children's room because I forgot curtains, and I wanted to use these base game curtains in particular, and I think that they look really, really nice. I just like the green and blue. It's very simple. I normally go with much more intricate curtains, but because this is a kid's room and it's all very like monochromatic, or I guess, well, there's two tones. There's two colors, but you know what I mean. I wanted to kind of make it all just maintain the same color scheme here. And then here is the same trick I used a couple builds back, but I grabbed these like crafty looking horse paintings and I put them on the floor with some newspaper underneath them because it's like their little crafty station, and then they don't get paint on the rug. I don't know why. That is something that child me used to do a lot. I used to set up a little painting area on my rug and put paper down, and it didn't always work. Let's just say that. But we have a lovely little pillow from the Little Campers kit. I'm just using Tool Mod to kind of raise it up a little and rotate it so that it sits on this chair nicely. And technically those aren't modular seats. I had to just squish them together, make them look modular, but they are from, I think, kids' room or toddler stuff, one of those. And then adding one more curtain over here to this window. And you'll see I also put a little like lamb stuffy on the seating area, and some shoes are right next to the bed or at the foot of the bed. A little poster on the wall, and then this like paper lantern thing up on the ceiling. I don't know why. I've used that one quite a bit actually. I really like that now. I didn't used to like it, but now I really do. And then I put some artwork where the toddler's bed is, and this little like hamster thing next to the bed as well on that poof. Then we are into the bathroom, and we have a little hand towel going next to the sink. I'm just changing the color of the tub, and then I squish it into the wall so that the tile looks like it's just continuous. It's not part of the tub, and it's not just part of the bathroom. It's like all built in. And then I use this rug from Snowy Escape, and I size it up a little bit with Tool Mod, and then I just move it in. I like the dark blue in conjunction with like the very tan and beige bathroom. I think that that's really nice. And then adding my favorite bathroom clutter stuff, we have toilet paper roll, we have the plunger, also the tiny living bathroom shelf above the toilet, and then some like lotions and an extra toilet paper roll or two on top of the toilet. There was also a soap pump and a toothpaste roll. And then in here is a quick look at the hallway because I finished it really quickly off camera, but it has some books, it has an end table, some baskets, a light, a nice painting, just some plants. It's very simple. And then we are on into the parents' room, where I picked out this growing together bed. I really like it with the rattan headboard and like just the wood tone and the color of the bedspread. So I picked this base game wallpaper behind the bed, and then on the opposing wall. I just never use it, and I think I saw Lil Simsy use it in one of her bedrooms recently for a build on Twitch, and I just loved it. I think it was actually for a nursery, and it was in a lighter tone, but I really, really like it. So I was determined to use it in this build. And then I also used the For Rent dresser, the longer one here. And I was thinking about doubling up these mirrors from Growing Together, but I did just decide on using one. I just centered it where the dresser was. And then this base game flower vase right here, that came with an update, oh my gosh, a long time ago. And then a little tray of makeup, and I picked out a really cute painting above the bed here. I'm moving this door and these windows around a lot, by the way. You'll see them kind of shift. But then I pick out this little couch from high school years because it's like a similar rattan feel, and I just wanted to use that in here. Like, this is the parents chill out zone, so I put in some plants. I changed the lighting to this one from Eco Lifestyle, the basket lights as I call them. They're really cute. And then these curtains here are from the Vintage Glamour stuff pack, and I don't get to use them super often. When I do use these curtains, they're pretty much always in this white swatch because they're nice and simple. They're not too flashy. They don't have a lot of gold or anything bright on them. They're just like really universal. So I liked that. And then here I am just completely changing the color scheme of the couch and the rug I picked out. And I think the rug was from Dream Home Decorator, pretty sure. Then back here, we're going to be on the back deck. I just copied the same flooring from the front and back patios, and also added a bonsai tree, which is not something I use super duper often, and I just thought give them a little activity out here for kicks, why not? And then this chair or this couch from Perfect Patio, and then we have more lights going in out here. Those are also from Growing Together, and then I add a little wreath to go on the wall. Then we are into the third unit finally. This is going to be a unit for two elder Sims, and I assume that they're grandparents, and I gave them a second bedroom for their grandchildren. I assume that they come over quite often. They do stayovers a lot when their parents work out of town, or when their parents just need a weekend off, because we all have those. So they have their own grandchildren's room in this house, and I did use all of the Home Chef Hustle stuff in this kitchen. I think this is the newest looking room in their whole home, because the rest of it does look very vintage. But this is the basic layout of the kitchen, and then I add a little archway here in between the kitchen and living spaces. And over here we have a very large table. This one is the timber table. I think that came with seasons, and these chairs going in are from Cats and Dogs. And then over here at the back door, I had to add a platform to get to their back door, and of course that deleted the wall for who knows what reason. But we had to add a double step situation over there. You will see it disappear later. I'm adding this lovely rounded curtain to the rounded window because they just fit together perfectly, and I thought it just gave a nice like vintage look to this very modern appearing kitchen. And then I did want to use some shuttered windows because in my opinion that's a grandparent's house kind of thing. The shutters on the outside of the windows, I don't know why, but it just in my head I said that those are for the grandparent's house, those shuttered windows. And then I did raise the whole kitchen up one level. It was very subtle because I wanted to get rid of that step, number one, and I also didn't want to have a double step over here and take away more room from the kitchen. So you will see that the platform trim on those two platforms does change later on, but for now they're the same stone as the studio apartment one was. And replacing the railing here with just this base game one, adding one more window to the back, and I fixed the column because it was a little too low. And then we are back. We are applying the Home Chef Hustle wallpaper here, and then I had to raise all these cabinets up. They were a little too low, and I did use that little corner shelf. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it, in this situation I did like it, and eventually I end up taking two of those single like thin cabinet pieces and putting them above the corner shelf. But first I wanted to clutter it up, so I didn't want to do it right away. I wanted to wait till I had cluttered the kitchen first so that they weren't obstructing my view of anything. There I am changing the platform trim to like those tiles because I think they match the high school years floor tiles much better. Changing the curtain swatch and then adding a ceiling light above the table. That is just base game, but it is so pretty and it is very antique looking, so I really thought it looked nice. And then here we are rearranging the curtains. I originally had wanted to use the seasons ones, but then I went with these base game kind of skinny flowy curtains because they matched the circular or the rounded curtain on the bigger window. And then I thought a nice little coffee table over here would be nice, like a little two-seater table. And I couldn't decide if I wanted a square table or a round one. So you will see me change that. But more of these chairs from Cats and Dogs. These are the other chairs that came with Cats and Dogs. I did decide on a round table instead. And then I think, just a hanging wall art over here. Nice fancy still life of some fruit in a basket. And over here we are going to pick a flower for the table. Those are from Dine Out, those little like willows. I really enjoy those very much. And then breaking out some soap and some stuff, some clutter for the countertops. You'll see it change really, really quickly, but I do pick out the soap pump and then this little soap on a dish for the kitchen. And then I think I also add a dish rack. I think I end up just moving everything around, and I add like some other clutter, like a jar of olives and maybe some cookbooks and such. But then we jump up to these shelves that I have already cluttered. We have some coffee stuff, some seasonings, some wine, some plates and bowls, and a little plant. And then here I am closing that in with the shelf, and I think it looks really nice like that. And here are just our utensils and our cookbooks and some challah bread over in the corner, because I think that Grandma loves to make fresh bread. I can imagine the smell in the kitchen. And then we have the flooring in here is going to be dark, as in comparison to the other townhomes here. They're mostly light. This flooring in this apartment or in this townhome is going to be much darker. And I use the same rug from Growing Together as I used in the middle unit, but I just changed the swatch ever so slightly. And we have the TV up on the console table, which is from Cottage Living, same with this end table here. And then I add a lovely base game table lamp to that end table for some light. And then I did use these modular bookshelves from the Book Nook kit, and I just shoved them in the back corner over here. I do end up having to rearrange them in a little bit because I will be moving the whole platform of this room up so that it's not floating. It's not like a huge step into the kitchen. So you will see there's a nice little gap where the bookshelves are, but I do move those. We also have lots of plants in this room. We have some hanging wall art. I have a little hanging flower plant thing on the wall over there. Around this time is where I replace the ceiling light. I just use this boxy looking one. I really like that one for entryway. And then we are out doing a little bit of landscaping, not too much because I didn't want to bore you, but I did use some debug and live edit objects. I did lower this like this curved rock fence thing into the ground, and then I followed it around here. That's from Cottage Living Debug, and I really like it to like frame in the side of the house so it's not just a bunch of bushes. It like gives a little bit more interest. And you'll also see those flower boxes on the front porch. They are from Get Together, and I really like how those turned out as well. And just a little bit of terrain paint. You'll also see I did all of the gardening over here, all of the landscaping. I think that just a little gate to the backyard of this area, and then it leads up to the back door. There's also some wind chimes hanging on the back porch, and I just think that this whole entryway came out so nice. Also, there's a little bird feeder. In case you didn't know, we do have a bird feeder with perfect patio. The birds will attack you, but that's okay. And then here we are switching out in the middle unit. Instead of having the console table, I switched it out for a fireplace because there is a chimney on this home, and I thought it was silly to not have a fireplace. You don't always have to do that, but I just thought it was necessary, so I added a fireplace instead. Then we are into the grandparents' room, and I use this bed from high school years. I very much enjoy this bed, and typically this bedspread I would say is a little too young, but the rest of this room is so vintage with the wallpaper and the dresser from Cottage Living. I said that they can get away with a very colorful and flowery bedspread. And then I threw in some more plants in here and just some as vintage looking wall art as I could possibly find, because we do have some that look like kind of, black and gray and like sepia toned wall art, and that is exactly what I was going for here. So we have a bunch of those all over the wall. I also pick out this Jerry painting, but I changed the swatch to be in this lady instead, and the curtains are from Cats and Dogs. I don't remember if I even put a rug in here or not, so if I did not, then they're just gonna have to have cold feet. But I think that it's a really cute little room. It came together nicely. Lots of plants. You'll see there's another plant on the wall, and also the vase on the dresser from book nook kit, and a little like stool at the end of the bed there to match the bedspread from high school years. Here's the bathroom. It's very quick. I just used my typical bathroom stuff, and also the cottage living, it's cottage living vanity shelf, and cluttered up the shelves. Above that, from Home Chef Hustle, there's a robe hanging on the wall and some rugs. And also this hallway is very quick because it's not super interesting, but it was pretty self-explanatory. It was the wallpaper was from Cottage Living, and then there was just some paintings on the wall. That's pretty much it. And the overhead light was also from Cottage Living. But we are in the kids' room, so their little stayover room. They have a bunk bed, and I use this one. I think it's base game, this bunk bed, if I'm remembering correctly. I think they added that to base game, and then just throwing in some toys here. So I imagine that this old dollhouse was their daughters, so these kids that stay over, that's their mom's old dollhouse. And then Blarfy is new, they bought that, and all of the art on these walls were picked by the grandchildren, by the granddaughters. Also those fairy lights, obviously, and some decorations for the wall, like art that they made at school, and some Love Day art just hanging on the wall. The very pink cloud light, which I've never used in that shade, and I just thought, why not? When else am I going to do it? Also some chalk drawings on the wall that they put up themselves, I think, and a little nifty knitting, like hanging jar situation in the corner, just to give a little something extra to this room. It's not super heavily decorated, but that is pretty much it. And then we're heading into the backyard. So they do have a swing set back here just for their granddaughters. I think that this set of grandparents don't really go outside too much unless their granddaughters are over. They only go outside if they're going to be taking the garbage out, or if they're going to grill something really quick. But otherwise, they don't really come out here. They don't like the humidity. They just don't want to deal with it. They just kind of tend to their plants. They let their grandchildren swing on the swings. Otherwise, it's just a little extension of their house that they don't really use. So just some plants, nice, easy, maintained plants, and stone walkway. And I do end up adding the trash can off camera later. It goes right where the edge of the back porch is, where it meets that little fern bush, and then adding some more terrain paint because I almost forgot about the rest of the terrain paint. There's their grill, and that's pretty much it for back here. I think I just go through with a little bit more terrain paint all around the fence line, and then out here in the front, I thought it would be really nice to have like a sign saying, like, you know, the Willow Creek townhome something or other, like just the sign for what their townhome name is. Adding some more flowers over here in the front, this lovely fountain, and a bench seat. And I think that bench might be just from base game, but don't quote me on it. It could also be from Get Together. And then some terrain paint and some little patches of grass here in the front where this sign is, because I thought it would make sense that they would have like some patches of grass growing where the posts go. And then also these other little tiny patches of grass from Cottage Living. I really like those to add some realism. And in front of the grandparents' house, I thought it was necessary to add a whole bunch of gnomes and some overgrown like daisies and wildflowers, and just make it look really super cute. And some exterior lights going on the outside of the home, out in the back and off to the side as well, so everyone can see where they're going when they come home. And then in the back as well, everybody has the same light because, you know, it's the same townhome. But this is it. This is our 3-unit townhouse. It's very, very cute. There's 3 units. I have them up there on the screen right there, and the total was 139,884 simoleons. So costs a pretty penny, but I think that this came out super cute. Let me know if you guys want to see more AI generated builds, or if you guys come up with one and you want to DM me on Instagram, send it to me. I would be happy to take a look and see if it's possible for me to recreate it, because this one was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'd love to do more of these in the future. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see other than this, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye guys.